Good morning, Paul and Pauline here down on the Maroochy River this morning as we continue to read through the Psalms, and today we're reading from the Passion Translation, and we're reading the Temple Psalms 74, 75 and 76, but you'll need to go to the next video to get each one because we do them separately. And now this was a psalm that it says was written by Asaph, but it could have been written by one of his descendants or one of the singers, the Asaph singers. It's a poem of instruction, and we think it was written after the temple was destroyed by the Babylonians. And there's some interesting history associated with this, but as you'll find out, it's quite a long psalm talking about the destruction of the temple. Now the temple, as we read it, is not only the physical temple in Jerusalem, but it's also us, the temple of the Holy Spirit, and it's also the church, the combined nature of the church, which is also the temple of God. So you can read whatever you like into it and see how God speaks to you. So Pauline and I will read this together. I'll read a few verses and then Pauline will do some. Verse 1. Are you really going to leave us, God? Would you turn your back on us, rejecting your people? We are yours, your very own. Will your anger smolder against us forever? Don't forget that we are your beloved ones. Wrap us back into your heart again, for you chose us. You brought us out of our slavery and bondage and made us your favoured ones, your Zion people, your home on earth. Turn your steps toward this devastation. Come running to bring your restoring grace to these ruins, to what the enemy has done to devastate your holy place. They have come into the very midst of your dwelling place, roaring like beasts, setting up their banners to flaunt their conquest. Now everything is in shambles. They've totally destroyed it. Like a forest chopped down to the ground, there's nothing left. All the beauty of the craftsmanship of the inner place has been ruined, smashed, broken and shattered. They've burned it all to the ground. They've violated your sanctuary, the very dwelling place of your glory and your name. Wow, that's pretty powerful. That's a description of the Babylonians tearing the temple apart and destroying it and bragging about it and putting their flags up. And it's a terrible time that they're teaching about in this song. Get Pauline to read from They Boasted, from verse 8.
They boasted, let's completely crush them. Let's wipe out every trace of this God. Let's burn up every sacred place where they worship this God. Now there's nothing left to show that we are the people of God. No miraculous signs anymore. There's no longer a prophet amongst us who can tell us how long this devastation will continue. So God, how much longer will you let this go on and allow these barbarians to blaspheme your name? Will you stand back and watch them get away with this forever? Why don't you do something? You have the power to break in. So why would you hide your great power from us? Don't hold back. Unleash your might and give them a final blow. You have always been and always will be my King. You are the mighty conqueror, working wonders all over the world. It was you who split the sea in two by your glorious strength. You smashed the power of Tannin, the sea god. You crushed the might of Leviathan, the great dragon. Then you took the crumbs and fed them to the sharks. With your glory you opened up springs and fountains. Then you spoke, and the ever-flowing springs of Jordan dried up so we could cross over. You own the day and the night. Sunlight and starlight call you Creator. The four corners of the earth were formed by your hands, and every changing season owes its beauty to you. O Jehovah, don't ever forget how these arrogant enemies, like fools, have mocked your name. Lord, aren't we your beloved dove that praises you? Protect us from these wild beasts who want to harm us. Don't leave us as lambs among wolves. You can't abandon us after all we've been through. Remember your promises to us, for darkness covered the land, giving the violent ones a hiding place. Don't let these insults continue. Can't you see that we are your downtrodden and oppressed people? Make the poor and needy into a choir of praise to you. Don't ignore these ignorant words that continue mocking. Rise up, God. It's time to defend yourself from all of this. Never forget what your adversaries are saying, for this rage and uproar rise continually against you. It's time to stand up to them.
Wow, that was a terrible time as they watched their temple being destroyed by ravaging Babylonians. But there's an interesting history associated with the destruction of the temple. Back in King Hezekiah's day, 200 years earlier than when the Babylonians had struck the temple, King Hezekiah was sent threatening letters from the Assyrians saying that he was going to come and destroy the temple because King Hezekiah hadn't paid his due money to the Assyrian king, and he sent him letters. And King Hezekiah, in 2 Kings chapter 19, he put the letters in the temple. He took the letters to the temple and asked God to intervene. And a message came back to Hezekiah from Isaiah, the son of Amos, to say that the Lord will take care of his problem and he would sort out the Assyrian army. There were 185,000 soldiers surrounding Jerusalem coming in to destroy the temple. And Hezekiah went to the temple and prayed, and the Lord came back and said, I'm going to look after it, don't worry. And he sent an angel of death that night over the army, the Syrian army, and when they awoke in the morning, all of the army were dead. 185,000 soldiers had died in the night because the angel of death had come over them. So there's a fascinating history in how the Lord intervened. And we're continuing our reading through the Psalm, and we've come to Psalm 75, which is really an answer to the despair that we read about in Psalm 74, where the temple had been destroyed. But this is a different story. It's to the pure and shining one, Asaph's poetic song to the tune of Do Not Destroy. And we'll read from verse 1. God, our hearts spill over with praise to you. We overflow with thanks, for your name is the near one. All we want to talk about is your wonderful works, and we hear your reply. When the time is ripe, I will arise and I will judge the world with perfect righteousness. And though I have set the earth firmly on its pillars, I will shake it until it totters, and everyone's heart will tremble. Pause and reflect on that. So here is a symbol of the church worshipping God, and God is saying, I am going to come and speak, and things are going to be shaken. Pauline, read on.
Reading from verse 4. God warns the proud, stop your arrogant boasting, and he warns the wicked. Don't think for a moment you can resist me. Why would you speak with such stubborn pride? Don't you dare raise your fist against me. This I know, the favour that brings promotion and power doesn't come from anywhere on earth. For no one exalts a person but God. the true judge of all. He alone determines where favour rests. He anoints one for greatness, and he brings another down to his knees.
Isn't that amazing? Pauline read, "This I know, the favour that brings promotion and power doesn't come from anywhere on earth. For no one exalts a person but God, the true judge of all. He alone determines where favour rests. He anoints one for greatness and brings another down to his knees." Wow. We got to just depend on God. If don't promote yourself, God will promote you. Verse 8. "A foaming cup filled with judgment, mixed with fury, is in the hands of the Lord Jehovah, full to the brim and ready to run over. He filled it up for the wicked, and they will drink it, down to the very last drop. But I will proclaim the victory of God of Jacob. My melodies of praise will make him known. My praises will break the powers of wickedness, while the righteous will be promoted and become powerful." So there's some interesting stuff in here, advising us to worship God, listen to him, apply the truths immediately and what he says to us, and then he will declare his praises will break down the wickedness, while the righteous will be promoted and become powerful. Some great lessons in that. You need to get into the Psalms yourself and read them for yourself. Get into the Word and let the Word get into you. You have a great day.
Bye.